Have you ever asked yourself why you're working harder than ever, but not feeling any closer to the life you thought that hard work would give you? Why you can grind through long days, skipping meals, sacrificing sleep, and still feel like success is dangling just barely out of reach? Why everyone keeps telling you the solution is to hustle harder, even though hustling harder is exactly what's burning you out in the first place? Today, I want to challenge one of the biggest myths in entrepreneurship. This idea that the only way to succeed is to push, push, push until something finally breaks in your favor. But what if the thing breaking is actually you? Because here's the truth. Most people aren't saying out loud, hustle culture doesn't work long term. Not for your health, not for your relationships, and not even for your business. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why. But stay with me until the middle of the video because I'm going to reveal the single biggest mindset change that turns constant struggle into sustainable success. That's the loop. And it matters because until you hear the shift, nothing about hustle culture will make sense. Let's jump in. For decades, we've been taught a specific formula: work hard, make more, be successful, be happy. It sounds simple enough. It's straightforward, it's linear, it's easy to understand. And because it's repeated everywhere in books, in business seminars, in motivational videos, in entrepreneurship circles, most people accept it without ever questioning whether it's actually true or not. We assume that success is a direct result of effort. So when things get hard, we push more. When money feels tight, we hustle harder. When process slows down, we double our hours. It becomes a cycle of chasing, followed by even more chasing. But here's something I realized, and maybe you felt this too. Hard work alone doesn't guarantee success. In fact, for many people, hard work becomes the very thing blocking them from success. Because when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and distracted, and stretched thin, you're not operating with clarity. You're not making smart decisions. You're reacting instead of creating. You're surviving instead of building. And for people in midlife, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, hustle culture hits even harder. You're not 22. You're not running on unlimited energy and endless nights. We have responsibilities. We have families. We have aging parents. We have careers and grandkids and financial pressure and health changes, all happening at once. And yet the world still tells us, if you want more, just hustle harder. But what if more hustle is actually the opposite of what we need? Let's talk about the myth of more. More hours, more effort, more tasks, more motivation, more pushing. The idea that if you aren't seeing results, the answer is always add more. Add more to your already full plate. But look around. People are burning out at record levels. Entrepreneurs are quitting their businesses, not because they failed, but because they couldn't sustain the pace. High achievers are crashing emotionally and physically, financially, and even spiritually. And the saddest part, they blame themselves. They think they weren't disciplined enough. They think they weren't tough enough. They think they didn't want it bad enough. But that's not true. They weren't broken. The system they were trying to follow was broken because hustle culture isn't a roadmap to success. It's the fast track to depletion. Let's be honest here. Hustle culture looks glamorous from the outside. The rise, the grind, content. The late night laptop sessions, the motivational quotes about sleepless nights and sacrifice, the idea that you're somehow morally superior if you're always exhausted. But here's what hustle culture does show: health problems, the strained marriages, the missed childhood moments, the constant anxiety, the feeling of being alive but not actually living, the financial pressure that never goes away because you're always one launch away from burnout. Hustle culture glorifies output but ignores quality. It celebrates exhaustion but ignores effectiveness. It praises busy work but ignores alignment. And for midlifers, for grandparents, for parents of grown kids, for people who finally want some peace, hustle culture is not just unsustainable, it's destructive. You now understand something you didn't know when you were younger. Your time is priceless. Your energy is limited. Your health, your family is not optional. Your sanity is not a luxury. If your model of work harder isn't working anymore, what will? Now we're getting to the loop I mentioned earlier. The core insight that changes everything. Here it is. Success doesn't come from managing your time. Success comes from managing your energy. Let me repeat that, because this is the pivot point where everything starts to make sense. Success is not about how many hours you work. It's about the energy, clarity, and intention that you bring to those hours. That's why two people can work the same number of hours and get completely different results. One person hustles nonstop, multitasking, stressed, overthinking, rushing all the time, and reacting. The other works in shorter, intentional bursts with clarity, focus, and strategy. Who wins? The one who protects their energy. When you manage your energy instead of your time, you make smarter decisions, you attract better opportunities, you stop saying yes to draining things, you create work that actually moves the needle, and you open a space for creativity, problem solving, and intuition. You stop running on empty and you start living in alignment. Energy is the real currency of success. Effort is only the vehicle. Working smarter means asking better questions. Instead of how can I hustle more, ask what's the simplest path to the same outcome. Instead of how can I add more tasks, ask what tasks actually matter. Instead of how can I focus myself to do everything, ask what can be automated, simplified, or delegated. Instead of how do I fit more in my day, ask what should I remove from my day. This is where digital skills come in, not hustling harder, but learning tools that make life easier. Automation, online systems, digital products, content that works while you sleep, emails that go out automatically, communities that grow while you're living your life. People think success comes from grinding. Real digital income comes from leverage, systems, clarity, strategy, and repeatability. Not from being busy. This is why midlifers are flourishing in the digital space right now. Not because they hustle more, but because they've lived enough life to know, I don't want to work harder. I want to work wiser. There's usually a moment, a turning point, when people finally realize that they can't keep hustling. For some, it's burnout. For others, it's a health scare. For many midlifers, it's the moment they look at their retirement savings and realize it's not enough. For others, Still, it's when they watch their grandchildren grow and think, I want more time. I don't want to miss this. Everyone has that moment, that wake up call, the realization that hustle culture stole years of joy under the disguise of ambition. And when this moment comes, you don't become weaker, you become wiser. You finally see that doing more isn't helping. Being exhausted isn't a badge of honor. Working nonstop isn't noble. And sacrificing your life for success is not success at all. The real turning point is internal. It happens when you say, I'm ready for a new way, a better way, a sustainable way. And that decision, that quiet, powerful decision, becomes the foundation of your next chapter. What success looks like without hustling. So let's imagine something together. Imagine waking up without dread, without pressure, without urgency. Imagine enjoying a morning coffee because your business no longer depends on you grinding from dawn till midnight. Imagine being more present with your family because you're not drowning in tasks. Imagine working 2 hours a day, not 12, because your systems do the heavy lifting for you. Imagine becoming more productive by doing less. Imagine thinking clearly, breathing easier, and feeling lighter. Imagine actually having the energy to dream again. That's what happens when you step out of the hustle culture and into intentional living. Success becomes sustainable, peaceful, strategic, aligned, and meaningful. And most importantly, success becomes yours, not the world's definition of success. So I want to talk about the 3 pillars of non-success. Let's break this down into something tangible. Here are the 3 pillars that replace hustle culture. Pillar number 1, clarity over chaos. Most people don't need to hustle more. They need to make fewer decisions. Clarity eliminates chaos. Chaos drains your energy, and energy determines success. So when you get crystal clear on what you want, why you want it, and what actually matters to you, your entire life becomes lighter. Hustle is usually a symptom of confusion. Clarity is what will end it. Pillar number 2, systems over sacrifice. Sacrifice is a long-term strategy. Systems will save energy, they'll scale results, and systems create freedom. Even simple digital systems like scheduled content, automatic emails, or templates remove hours of unnecessary work from your week. So when your systems are working for you, you don't have to. Pillar number 3, energy over effort. Effort drains, energy multiplies. You can do more in 2 focused hours than in a 12-hour chaotic one. This is where everything shifts. You stop asking, how much can I get done today? And start asking, how can I feel my best so the work that I do matters? This is the beginning of real freedom. So here's the insight people often resist the most. You don't earn success by suffering. You earn success by aligning. Success doesn't require burnout. It requires balance. It requires clarity. It requires energy. It requires intention, and it requires strategy. But it absolutely does not require you to hustle yourself into the ground, because the goal isn't to create a life where you're constantly exhausted. The goal is to create a life you don't need to escape from. If your business costs you your health, your happiness, your relationships, it's not a business, it's a burden. And you deserve more than that. Life after 50 deserves more than that. This is the phase of life where wisdom matters more than willpower. And when you embrace that, everything changes. When you stop hustling, your mind gets quieter, your decisions get better, your days get lighter, your creativity returns, your energy rises, your life expands. Success becomes simpler, opportunities feel natural, momentum stops being forced. You begin stepping into a life of freedom, clarity, alignment, peace, and purpose. And you finally realize you were never meant to hustle your way to success. You were meant to grow into it. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt pressured by hustle culture? Have you ever reached a point where you said something has to change? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear them. You never know. Your experience might be the exact thing someone else needs to hear today. And if you want more videos about building a life with clarity, confidence, and freedom, make sure to subscribe and stay connected. You're not alone. You're just getting started. And your next chapter is going to feel better than anything you've built so far.